The phone was dead. It had been dead for 2 years, ever since he died in that car crash. But now it was ringing. The caller ID said it was from Toby. Toby being his name, and also the fact that it was the number that he had died with. The number that used to be his, but now belonged to the cold and the dead. At first, he thought it was a prank, someone messing with him. But the more it rang, the more the insistent. He could have sworn that the phone vibrated in his hand. You know how sometimes when you're half asleep and your phone vibrates, you think it's real, but it's not, and then you feel kind of embarrassed, because you thought your phone was actually vibrating when it was Unan. But this time, was awake, and he could have sworn the phone was vibrating. And who was calling him from Toby's number, the one that hadn't been used in 2 years? Who would be calling from Toby's number? Was it really Toby? Was his friend calling him from beyond the grave? Should he pick up? Curiosity got the better of him. His finger hovered over the screen, then pressed the answer button. Hello? There was a long pause. Then a voice, barely a whisper, came through the receiver. Hello? Is anyone there? It sounded like the voice was coming from far away, like the person was speaking from inside a tunnel, or maybe under a blanket, or like they were trying to stifle their voice, trying not to draw attention to themselves. Hello? Is anyone there? The voice was so faint it was almost impossible to hear, yet at the same time, it was incredibly clear. There was no static, no background noise, just an eerie silence that pressed against his eardrums, and then the voice again. Is anyone there? He wanted to speak, to say something, but his throat was dry. He felt like he had swallowed a lump of cotton. It took him a few seconds to clear his throat. Hello. His voice sounded different, too. Like he had become someone else entirely. Like the sound of his own voice was a stranger to him. Who was this? Another pause. This time, it seemed like the person on the other end was breathing. He could hear their breathing. It was soft and raspy, like the person was out of breath.
Toby here,
the voice whispered.
Is that Toby?
He asked, even though he already knew the answer. Of course, it was Toby. Why would anyone else be calling him from Toby's number, from beyond the grave? Yeah, it's me. His mind raced. Could it really be Toby? Was his friend somehow calling him from beyond the grave? He wanted to believe it was, but at the same time, it was scarier. What if it wasn't? What if it was just some sick prank? But Toby's voice sounded so real, so genuine. It couldn't be a recording. He could hear the rasp in his voice, the slight tremor in his speech. It was definitely Toby. Are you okay? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. Are you up to something you shouldn't be? Toby didn't answer right away. He just kept breathing heavily on the other end of the line, as if he was trying to catch his breath. Toby, are you there? He asked, his heart beating faster now. Then came a whisper, so faint he almost didn't hear it. I need your help. Need help? What kind of help? Help from beyond the grave. Was he supposed to help his dead friend? But how? Before he could ask what Toby needed help with, the line went dead. He looked at his phone. The caller ID still said Toby, but now the call ended. He tried to call back, but it went straight to voicemail. He stood there for a moment, phoning and wondering what to do next. Then he did the only thing he could think of. He dialed Toby's number. It was the same number his friend had died with, the number that hadn't been used in 2 years. The number that was supposed to be dead. It rang once, twice, 3 times, then stopped. It went straight to voicemail. As he listened to the beep and then the automated message saying the mailbox was full, he wondered what to do next. Should he try calling again? What if Toby was trying to tell him something important? What if he needed help? But what kind of help? How could he help his dead friend? As these thoughts raced through his mind, he realized one thing. He wasn't just grieving the loss of his friend. He was grieving the loss of his innocence, too.